As far as the magnitude of the project goes, this was a 4,000-ton structural steel project, in excess of 100,000 man-hours in the shop alone. It probably rivaled that, or probably even greater in the field, with just the complexity of the work, the amount of welding. And there's some truly one-of-a-kind members on this project with thousands of hours going into a single steel piece.
Within these walls and within this structure, we had many other phases to try to coordinate with and make sure we could fit everything into a small area. Some of these shear walls go from 16 inches to 12 inches, and we still had to fit the same amount of rebar, couplers, weld studs, all in the same 6-inch by 8-inch footprint going up the entire structure. So there was a lot of coordination up front, and even as best we could do, there was still a good bit of coordination in the field just to figure out how to make everything work. And that goes back to what Mac was saying about trying to confirm while proceeding in RFIs that we'd get the design team on a phone call in the morning. By that afternoon, we'd be working in the field on a fix, and that there's no way we'd be here today if we couldn't expedite the RFI process. You know, kind of in the steel trade, we've always got somebody coming behind us. In our case, it was the concrete core walls had to come right up behind us to end up meeting the substantial completion date. We were given, you know, our time of, I guess it was 4 months to get the main, what we call the cruciform part of the structure up, just to be able to keep the concrete walls on schedule. Another challenge we had to face in the field is, especially this time of year, keeping temperatures for preheating for the welding up to where they need to be. When you've got a 4-inch thick piece of steel that you've got to keep up to 40 degrees, 60 degrees, whatever your weld procedure calls for, I mean, that's another challenge, especially if it's a cold, windy day. So we definitely faced a lot of challenges with welding, but most of the stuff in the field was connecting all the pieces that we brought in from the shop that were too long to ship in one piece. We erected mostly during the day for safety. It's easier for us to erect the structural steel in the day. We did have nights where we did secondary steel, but I mean, that brings up a very good point that we had 2 cranes and countless trades. I mean, a meeting that they just had before you guys walked in here was a foreman's meeting, and there's at least 20 different trades in here all trying to figure out when can I get the crane today. Right here you can actually see part of the weld. It gives a good demonstration of size and how much material we had to go through, what we had to keep warm. This was all erected right in the middle of January. I remember seeing snow on these beams on days when they had to come out and clear it out while we erected this. So this is just an example of the size and magnitude of some of the work that we had to do. All this was built out of plate in our shop. This is not a wide flange shape that you can buy at the mill.
The logistical challenges of this site has been absolutely one of the top 10 that we have dealt with. And the entire part is, as I mentioned earlier, Smithsonian, National Park Service, DDOT, all the trades, the design team. It has been a huge and massive collaboration.
We had an Italian millworker do the space here. Everything you see was by them. All the steel, all the plaster, the velvet that's on every piece of equipment was all by them. Manufactured in Italy and shipped to the US for a month-long installation process. Everyone who installed this was also the same people who fabricated it over in Italy. Came out here, about 10 of them, worked 16-hour days, all spoke great Italian, but not so great English. You see these columns, and you see the reveal at the top, those are all diffusers. So supply and return are all from there too. And again, everything was planned out to a T. This Flagship store was this and the Boca store that was going on at the same time, the only store to have this new design of exposed concrete and stainless steel finishes. All the other ones have their own design that you see at almost every other store, but this and the Boca were the one-of-a-kind, first of their kind. Everything you can think of aligns with something else in this space, whether it's a column line, whether it's another piece of millwork, with the Schluter strip, with the stone. Everything has a reason for being there, or a dimension that is aligning with something else. So the same people that fabricated were also the same 8 to 10 people that were here installing. They had from, I think, October 15th to November 15th, we weren't in the space. They just working pretty much 16 hours a day almost. They didn't have an example or a control sample of what they had before because, like I said, this was the first time they were doing the exposed concrete, the stainless steel, and I like showing it off.
Yeah,
This
that's awesome.
this was an
Thank
awesome
you.
project to work on, it really was.